Okay, let us start our class today. Okay, yesterday we have seen the methods of electric heating, which has been classified into different types. That is under the power frequency methods and power frequency heating and high frequency heating. So yesterday we have seen the resistance heating, which was covered under your frequency. So I will show again once. This is the structure of your electrical heating, which has been classified this power frequency heating and high frequency heating. So in this power frequency heating, this resistance heating, arc heating, and election bombard heating, yesterday we have learned this direct resistance heating. So how this method has been, how this method has been employed for this electrical heating, and the rest of the indirect resistance heating and infrared heating we are going to be learn for this today's class. Okay, so these are the outlines which we have discussed earlier. What is an direct resistance heating, indirect, infrared, direct arc, indirect, direct induction, all those things. So there is a resistance heating. We are going to heat the substance which you wants to be heat by passing an electricity, and directly we are going to heat the substance which was depends upon the power loss. Okay, so these are the some applications we have seen, and these are the methods under the direct heating. So yesterday we have seen this. So this is a salt bath furnace which we have covered under the resistance heating. So electrode boiler. Yes, this is the indirect resistance heating. Okay. In this indirect resistance heating, yesterday we have discussed the substance which you wants to heat, that is in a charge. You are not going to place any electrodes directly into the charge. While passing an electricity to the two electrodes, a heat is going to be produced in the heating chamber. By heating this chamber, and the heat is going to be transfer from the heating chamber to the charge which you wants to be heated. So this is in the cylindrical which is surrounded by the charge. So that is nothing but in a heating chamber. So here for a single phase AC supply or the DC supply, the two electrodes are sufficient to heat the charge. Okay, this is the process you are going to see in this indirect resistance heating. Yes, another one which we are going to use is resistance indirect resistance heating for this resistance oven. So all these are going to be considered under for your domestical applications. Domestic applications. So in each and every home, most of all, everyone in this nowadays, everyone is going to aware of this oven. For what purpose we are going to use this oven is for domestic cooking purpose. For domestic cooking purpose. So here a resistive wire is going to be connected in this oven, and we are going to pass the current to this wire, and the wire is going to be heated, and that heat whatever the heat generated or produced by this wire is going to be used so for the heating purpose. So heating the substance inside your oven. So here what is going to be happen, uh, there we are going to have, I will show you in a diagram. Yes, this is an oven. This is an a resistance oven. Here, earlier I have said, whatever the wire which you are going to use, so we can have the high temperature, that is about 1000 degrees centigrade of heat. So this oven is going to be used for some of the commercial and domestic purposes for heating. So for that we are going to employ these resistance ovens. So for medium and high temperatures, we are going to use this oven. So depending upon the usage of the furnaces, that is for medium temperature furnace, the temperature is going to be differentiated from 300 degrees centigrade to 1050 degrees centigrade. So these are going to be employed to melt these non-ferrous metals. Non-ferrous metals. If you want to use this oven above the 1050 degrees centigrade, that is here we have taken this operating range which is above 1050 degrees centigrade and below the 1350 degrees centigrade. These are known as high temperature furnaces. So based upon the temperature, heating temperature, you are going to construct your heating furnaces. So these type of furnaces which we use at the high temperatures is employed for hardening applications. We are going to use for the hardening application. So here is the some simple resistance oven diagram which was shown here. Here see, so in this oven, this is the opening door. This is the opening door where we substance are going to kept in this inside this insulating material. So in the lines which are outside this as shown is nothing but an insulating material which is used for protecting from the high temperatures. So this earth, whatever these dotted lines which is nothing but your heating elements placed, this is the resistance wiring. So to open this door and placing the substance between these two heating elements, and electricity is passed through the current, that is nothing but a current is passed through these heating elements. The heating elements gets heated, and by that heat, the heat is going to be transferred into the to the substance, and the substance is going to be heated. So this is the process we are seeing in this applications. So that's why this is nothing but an indirect resistance heating. The best example we can conclude here is the resistance oven. So for different applications that based upon your heating, the furnaces are going to be designed. Okay. So here some of the insulations, type of insulations we have constructed here, and all those things I have given in this slide. So you can easily understand by reading by itself. So the process is same as in the oven. The main important point you have to remember is the temperature at which you wants to be heat the substance. That depends upon the medium type, medium temperature or high temperatures. If you are going to use the very applications of like hardening the materials, then you are going to use the high temperature furnaces. That is an about 1050 degrees centigrade to 1350 degrees centigrade. Okay. So if you want to heat the material of a medium temperature, then you are going to construct this furnace as a medium temperature furnace, and which is going to be about 300 degrees centigrade to 1050 degrees centigrade. So this is all about your indirect resistance heating. Yesterday up to this we have stopped the class. So next we are going to see how this radiant heating. So there is a small topic regarding this resistance heating, that is direct and indirect resistance heating. There are some of the efficiencies and losses which is going to be happening in these resistance ovens. Let us see what are those. So the whatever the heat produced while in the process of your heating, that is nothing but only the raising of your temperature. We are not to consider the raise of your temperature of your the charge, but we also have to look about the losses which is going to be occur, and how much of the efficiency is going to be obtained. So each and every person in the universe requires high efficiency. They requires high results. That is nothing but the work is should be done very finely. So for that we have to check while processing in the methods which you have choose for the heating purpose, we also have to consider the losses. So what are the losses are going to be occurs during this process. So not only in this previous slide I have explained that based upon the application, that is medium temperature or in a high temperatures. So due to that temperature levels, we are going to have some of the losses. So we have to consider that losses also, not only the temperature range, we also have to consider the losses which we are going to occur between that range. So that is the thing we here going to be see. So the first losses which we are going to occur during this is heat used in raising the temperature of oven or the furnace. Yes, if you wants to, if you consider the high applications for you, we are going to use this oven, resistance ovens for high applications. We have to consider the loss when the temperature is going to be raised. If you are going to increase the time and temperature, so if you want to heat in a substance, if the substance takes 2 minutes or 3 minutes to heat it, then what is going to be happen? Some loss is going to be occur. If you're going to increase the heating time in the oven or the furnace, then what is going to be happen? The more amount of heat is going to be produced, and for that high amount of heat, the material has to withstand. So there will be some uh, one loss, that is the overheat is going to be produced while raising your temperature. And second one is the heat used in raising the temperature of containers or carriers. Yes. So if you the same thing, if you use to raise your temperature, so if you have increased 1350 degrees centigrade above for hardening the materials, so the main upper limit of your temperature is 1350 degrees centigrade. If you have increased over the or beyond the limit of 1315 degrees centigrade, then what is going to be happen? The material the material or the substance which you are going to be heat is going to be damaged. There will be some brittleness. So the strength of the material is going to be decreased and the material function is going to be damaged. So that is also one major thing you have to consider while raising the temperature of your oven. Third one is heat conducted through the walls. Yes, in the oven, the heat is going to be produced from the side walls of the insulating material, side walls of your body of the oven. So we have to check whether the material which we are used for the body is going to withstand the temperature what we have produced. What we have produced. So, and the last one is heat loss due to the opening of oven door. Yes, this is the one of the main important thing you have to keep in mind. While the oven in the on position and the heating process is going on, then you never should has to open the door. You never should has to open the door. Why? Because within the closed body, the temperature of the heat is very high. If you suddenly open the door of your oven, then what is going to be happen? The heat is going to be passed out and the heating process is going to be breakdown. So there you are going to get the loss very high when compared to the previous things. The loss of the heat is going to be very high while doing this step. Okay. So based upon these losses and based upon the temperature of your furnace, we have to calculate our efficiency. We have to check out how much of efficiency is this oven is going to be work out. So The efficiency of this woven is also going to be defined, is nothing but is the heat required to raise the temperature of the charge to the heat required to raise the temperature of the charge plus total losses. See, by this you are going to get the efficiency. If you have the values of this, you can calculate the efficiency of your oven. So before connecting the oven to your supply, there will be a nameplate like our laboratory. In the machines laboratory or in any laboratory, according to regarding the our electrical, for each and every motor, there will be a specifications plate which was connected on the stone of your motor, which was mounted on the motor. They were what are the ratings? What are the specifications they are going to provide for us? The voltage, the power, how much the current, what is the speed, how much of the power factor. All these things are going to be mentioned on that nameplate details. I hope all you are aware of that. So according to that, by considering the oven, you have to check how much of the voltage is going to be taken for this charge to charge your substance. So according to the details and the heat, how much of the heat is required to raise the temperature of the charge? Nothing but first of all, the substance which you wants to be heated is at the room temperature. Is every material before heating or cooling, the temperature of the body is at its room temperature. Thereby, we have to decide either we wants to cool that substance or the charge or to have the heat. For the heat means nothing but you are going to change or raise the temperature of the substance or the charge. So here we have to consider the losses also. Whatever the losses going to be occur in the oven, also we have to consider. So based upon these two things, you are going to have the efficiency of the oven. That is nothing but the heat required to raise the temperature of your charge. That is nothing but from the room temperature, you are going to raise the temperature of the substance to be heated. That is going to be raised by passing or by transferring the heat to the charge. To the losses also considered to be considered. So the efficiency they have given whatever the woven that is nothing but capacity of the woven. If you have considered the efficiency of this resistance woven, which we are going to use for any applications, that is commercial or domestic purpose applications, the efficiency is going to be lie between 60% and 80%. 60% and 80%. Okay, 60% and 80%. Now we will see the next type of heating, that is infrared. Okay, this is also one method of heating which was classified under your resistance heat. So this is the third one. Okay, let us see what is how this method is going to be useful while for heating of your material. So in previous two methods, in previous two methods, in previous two methods, what we have seen, you are going to use the electrodes, you are going to use electrodes based upon the supply, that is single phase or three phase. So if you use the DC supply or the single phase AC supply, you have used two electrodes. That means the two electrodes are sufficient to heat the substance. But in case if you have availability of three phase supply and you are going to use that three phase supply to heat the substance, then you need an additional electrode, that is we are going to have the three electrodes. But here in this case, it is completely different from direct resistance heating and indirect resistance heating. Why? Because the name indicates the in this method we are not going to use any electrodes. We are not going to use any electrodes. We are just heating the substance by radiation, by providing the heat through radiation. So earlier in the mode of transfer of heat, I have explained you that is through conduction, convection, and radiation. In that radiation, the best example we have considered is solar heater. The solar heater. Through the sun rays, we are going to heat the water of your overhead tank, which was connected to the solar panels. So initially the water is at room temperature. We are going to circulate that room temperature. We are going to circulate this room temperature water through the tubes, and we are going to make the water to be heated through the radiation, that is nothing but through the sun rays. So we are not making any direct contact of the electrodes to be heated. Okay. So here, let us minimize my video. I will show you the thing. So just okay. Let us continue our class. This is the infrared radiant. Next, this is the another method of heating which we are going to discuss right. So in this method, we are not going to use any type of electrodes for any apply. Just in this method of heating, we are going to transfer the heat from source to the body which you wants to heat, that is through the radiation. That's we are going to produce the radiation to the substance to be heated from the source. So in this process, in this method, we are going to transfer the heat through the radiations. So these type of radiations in this heating method, we are going to use for low and medium temperatures, low and medium temperature applications. So for the applications, that is for the low and medium applications. So the best example we can consider these for these applications are nothing but your resistance ovens. Earlier, what we have discussed, that is resistance oven. In that resistance oven, the heat transfers to the charge. Whatever the substance or the charge you wants to be heated, we are going to transfer the heat onto the charge or the substance partly by the convection and partly by the radiation. That is nothing but we are going to use the mode of transfer, that is convection and radiation. Here not we are not going to have any transfer of heat by conduction. We are not going to use any conduction mode. We are just we are going to have the transfer of heat by convection and radiation. So here in this method of infrared or radiant heating, the most important heating element which we are going to use in this heating purpose is tungsten filament lamp. Tungsten filament lamp. Earlier in the starting of the unit, we have seen what are the materials of the what are the materials for heating elements we have considered, and we have seen the operating temperatures, that is minimum of 400 degrees centigrade to maximum 1200 degrees centigrade. Suppose if you want to use the heating temperature more than 1200 degrees centigrade, then we are going to use cadmium, tungsten, graphite, all these elements which are having high operating temperatures. So here this tungsten filament lamp, why we are going to refer this tungsten filament lamp for this type of heating method. Why? Because this tungsten filament lamp are going to have the operating temperatures more than 2000 degrees centigrade. More than 2000 degrees centigrade. So suppose if you want to heat the substance which is having an heating or temperature about 3000 degrees centigrade, then we are not going to have any type of this direct resistance heating or indirect resistance heating. We cannot heat that much of amount of heat to the substance. We cannot produce that amount of heat to the substance to be heated by this resistance. So that's why we are going to use this infrared heating method. So this radiating heating is mostly used in the applications for drying or painting surfaces. So if you want to dry the paint which you have painted on the surfaces, for that purpose we cannot use the direct heating method or indirect heating method. So by the radiation that is nothing but we are going to transfer the heat to the surface or the substance through the radiation. So by that radiation we can dry that painted surfaces or the enamels, all those things, material which we have used for the design purpose. The enamel is nothing but the design purpose. So for drying that enamel, we are going to use this radiant heating method. Okay. So let us see the things. The same thing which we have is this. So here one of the main advantage we have to consider here is whatever the heat absorption takes place while in this method is going to be constant, approximately constant. Okay. In this method, what is the main advantage? Here I have written here, see, the main advantage of the radiant heating is that is nothing but whatever the heat we have produced to the substance to be heated, the substance is going to absorb that heat. The substance is going to absorb the heat is going to be constant, approximately constant. Okay. When coming to the ordinary oven, instead of this resistance oven, the heat absorption of the substance is going to be fall down, because the resistance can withstand the resistance value which we are going to use for the heating purpose can withstand the high temperatures. But in the ordinary oven which we are going to use for our domestic appliances cannot withstand the high temperatures. So whatever the substance we are going to use to be heated, that substance cannot absorb that much of heat. So the heat absorption falls the very rarely. So this is the lamp ratings we have mentioned here. Usually it is going to be between 250 watts to 1000 watts, and the operating voltage is 115 volts. Okay. So in case of robust filament, we are going to use 115 volts. Okay, I will show you one pictorial representation of this method. Then you can easily understand how this radiation is going to be happen, and we have considered. See, please check it out. This is the basic radiation system. So we are going to heat. So this sinusoidal representation is nothing but you are going to pass the current to the, you're nothing but you are going to heat this surface. From this surface, the heat is going to be conduct, then the material is going to be absorbed, and then it is going to be convection. So these are the process you are going to obtain while passing the current through the surface. So when how it is going to be happen when the radiation, then when the light has been the infrared has been produced in this room or this area, through that infrared rays, through the radiation, the heat is going to be produced, and the radiation is going to be imposed on the material or the substance to be heated. So that's why, see, the radiation has been designed in this downward direction, and the by this resistance heating, the heat is going to be transferred from the surface through the conduction and the absorption and convection. Okay. So let us see this radiant heating method, how it is has been used in the domestic appliances. So the best thing is, if you have the heaters, if you have heaters in your room, if you have the heaters in your house, you just switch it on the heaters, then what we are going to feel the heat of the heater. So that is, but the heaters are going to be used at the seasons like winter and rainy seasons, because the temperature outside, the temperature, the atmospheric temperature is very cool. So if you want to keep your body warm or the room warm, so now we are going to heat your keep the room temperature below that cooling temperature. So for that purpose, you are going to have that heaters. See, so this is the surface from you are going to produce the radiation. This radiation is going to pass through the surface or the walls of the your room and making the room temperature below the its temperature. So nothing but these radiations are going to be bounce on the surfaces and making the surfaces to be heated. Okay, while we are present in this room, the room gets heated. Whatever the room gets heated, you are just going to feel that warm. So here the temperature, here the temperature control is possible. The temperature control is possible. So I will show what are the appliances we are going to use for this heating process. That is infrared or radiant heating. So here in this figure, you can see this is a tungsten filament lamp. We are here we have used the tungsten filament lamp by providing the electricity to the, or the supply to this tungsten filament lamp. The filament lamp is going to produce the heat. The heat is going to be transferred to the surfaces or the space where we have required to be heated. So there we are going to feel the warmness or the heat of the light. Okay, this is the another way of producing the heat. Okay, so there is an another topic we have to be considered here. So these are the three methods we are going to use under the resistance heating. That is nothing but direct resistance heating, indirect resistance heating, and your radiant heating. So there is one topic that we have to consider very importantly, that is the temperature control. So each and every method having its own properties for heating the substance or the charge which we required. But in every process, we need to consider is the temperature control. How you are going to control the temperature. So let us see one thing. Here, some of the points you have to consider. So the main point, the resistance heating always depends upon the power loss. I have discussed the same point. The heat transfer by this resistance always depends upon the power loss. That is nothing but I square R loss. So here we have to consider the time period also. According to the heating time of the element, the heat is going to be developed through the power loss. So here some points I have written here. So what are the things we are going to do to control the temperature of your furnace? So in each and every process, for each and every process, what we are going to do, we are going to consider one furnace. So in the resistance heating, we have considered salt bath furnaces, some another, that is boiler, boiler. to be whatever the substance you wants to be heated, we are going to place in that boiler and making electrodes to be immersed in that boiler, in that furnace, and we are making the furnace to be heated, and by that heat we are going to transfer onto the substance to be heated. So these are the process we have considered. So each and every process of this resistance heating, I am not going to consider only this method or not this method. We are under the method of resistance heating, that is direct or indirect or maybe then radiant heating. Suppose here the furnace, in the radiant heating, the furnace is nothing but the surface of the area which you wants to be heat. So for each and every heating method, we are going to consider a furnace. So the furnace temperature is going to be controlled by these methods. That is, first one is by changing the resistance of the elements. Here the elements is nothing but your heating elements. So whatever the heating elements you are going to be used for your heating purpose, so you are going to change that resistance of your heating elements. And second one is changing the applied voltage to that heating elements or current passing through this elements. So for this, I have discussed in the last class the best way to control the applied voltages, to change the voltage. That is nothing but you are going to use the tap changing transformer here. By changing the tappings of your transformer, we can control the voltage. So each and every heating method, in this heating method, we are going to use where we require to control the voltage of your heating element, there we are going to use tap changing transformers. So by this, we are going to change this. And the final one is changing the ratio of on and off times of the supplies. So these are the three things you have to check every time to control the temperature of your resistance heating. Okay. So let us see. Just to, I would like to explain you these two things. So these are the two important process while controlling the heat of your resistance resistance heating method to control the temperature. Okay, the first thing I have earlier we have discussed these three things, that is changing the resistance of the elements and changing the applied voltage and changing the ratio of on and off times of the supplies. Here the third one is nothing but just when you want to on the supply and how much the time you require to heat the charge or the substance or the material you wants to be heated. After the process has done, just you are going to switch off the supply. So you have to consider the on and off time also. So based upon the on and off time of the supply, we can easily control the temperature of your heating. So because if you suppose for an example, if you want, if the material which you wants to be heated, it requires just 10 minutes or 20 minutes. For just for an example, I'm saying, but in the practical purpose, it is not going to be for in the commercial purpose. It is not going to be considered any 10 minutes or 30 minutes. We require more number of hours to heat the substance or the elements to produce the to do the work. So here, just for the household purpose, I'm going to say, for example, if the substance which we wants to be heated requires only 10 minutes of times to heat that material. But what you have done, you just switch on the supply and you forgot to off the supply after 10 minutes. Then what is going to be happen? Then the substance which requires the heat, the amount of heat to be heated is going to be increased. So due to the increase of your heat, the material is going to get damaged because it is going to lose its strength and resistance. So therefore, the complete damage is going to be happen to the substance. So that's why while heating, we have to consider this point very important, that's on and off times of your supply. So here we are going to see some various combinations of group of resistance which are going to be used in your furnace to control the temperature. These are the 2 points I'm going to discuss here. This is nothing but based upon the variable number of temperature. That is nothing but by changing the number of heating elements. That is nothing but you are going to be connected in series or parallel. So if you connected in series, you are going to get more number of heat. If you are going to connected in parallel, there also we are going to get the high amount of heat, but when compared to the series, we are just dropping down some of the degrees to that. That's it. So here he has considered some one element which is having a resistance of capital R, and in that furnace we are going to use number of elements that are n, small n, which has connected in parallel, so that the equivalent resistance is going to be given by capital R by the ratio of capital R by small n, that is number of elements. So here, based upon this number of elements which are connected in parallel in the furnace, there by considering that parallel elements, the heat developed in the furnace has been calculated by this formula. This is so here the heat developed has considered by then letter H. In the previous design of your heating element, we have considered the Stephen law, that is nothing but heat dissipated. H is equal to 5.72 into 10 power 4 into Ke into T1 by 1000 whole power 4 minus T2 by 1000 whole power 4, which was measured in Weber per meter square. Okay. So here the H is going to be used for the heat development. Whatever the furnace you have considered for this, placing the heating elements, that is V square by that equivalent resistance. Equivalent resistance. This is also nothing but V is equal to IR. I is equal to V by R. That is V square by R. Here the R is nothing but the equivalent resistance which was placed in capital R. That is, I will show you the equations. That is the Ohm's law, V is equal to IR, where the heat is nothing but which is going to be produced by passing the electricity through the furnace. So that's why I is equal to sorry, power, no, the heat dissipation H is nothing but the power. P is equal to, that is equals to V into I, where I is equals to from the Ohm's law, I is equal to V by R. By placing here, we are going to have the V square by R. Here, this R indicates your equivalent resistance of your elements which have connected in parallel in that furnace. So this R is nothing but your equivalent resistance which was calculated as R by N. So that is the thing we have placed here. So by modifications, we have rewritten the formula as V square by R into small n. Here n is the number of elements, R is the resistance of one element. So this V is the supply voltage. We are square of your supply voltage. So here one thing we have to note, why we are going to connect it in parallel. So the main purpose, the connection we have considered in this parallel is the heat developed in the furnace is going to be increased. So, but there is one disadvantage while connection in parallel. So here earlier I have said in the series connection, by connecting the number of elements in series, we are going to produce the heat, but there the production of heat is going to be constant. But whereas in this parallel, the production of the heat is very high, but it does not provide any uniform heating while in the parallel connection. So the one advantage, in the meanwhile there is a disadvantage. The advantage is we can increase the heat in the furnace. We can develop the high amount of heat in the furnace, but the whatever the heat produced in this parallel connection, we cannot have the uniform heating. Okay, this is the one of the disadvantage. So So by changing these elements, we are going to control the temperature of your furnace. Okay. And the second one is series parallel or star delta arrangements. So here I have said that in the second point, to control the voltage, or the current supplied to the furnace. So that is, this is going to be done by this connection, series parallel connection or star delta connection of your heating elements. Okay, here also in the series parallel and series delta, we are not going to provide any DC supply. Just we are going to use only the AC supply. So there is also one differentiate. If you going to supply single phase AC supply, so then what is going to be happen? So for low temperatures, we are going to connect the elements which we are used for the heating purpose are connected in series for the low temperatures. Whereas for to get the high temperatures, we are going to connect the heating elements in the parallel. So that's why this means is in a series parallel switch. Okay. I hope you all understand this. For the single phase, the heating elements are going to be connected in series for the low temperatures. So if the heating element or the heating substance requires the low temperature to be heated, low temperature required to heat that substance, then these elements are going to be connected in series. Suppose if you wants to heat the same element at a high temperature, then the heating elements are going to be connected in parallel. That's why in this type of arrangement, it is called as series parallel switch. Suppose if you are going to connect a three-phase supply instead of single-phase supply, then how the connections are going to be made? So here the heating elements are going to be connected in star. For the same low temperatures, we are going to connect it in series, while in the series parallel connection, whereas in the star delta connection, we are going to connect in the star form, the star connection for the low temperatures. Whereas for the requirement of the high temperatures, we are going to connect the heating elements in the delta form. That's why it is called as star delta switch. It is called as star delta switch. Okay. Up to this, I will conclude this class, today's class. Okay. Next class, we will see the second heating methods, that is arc heating method, which was comes under your resistance heating. Sorry, power frequency heating. So apart of that, by finishing that, we will start our high frequency methods for heating, that is induction heating and dielectric heating. Okay. For this class, I'm going to conclude this. So everyone, please go through the video which you have missed and have the queries in the chat box or in the respected our groups, that is a WhatsApp group which we have assigned to our class. So you can post that questions in that group. I will answer to that questions. Okay. Okay. Thank you all. Be safe at home. Thank you.